Hello and welcome to the fourth and final week of Virtual Views Film Vault Summer Camp. I'm your host, Ashley Swinnerton, Collection Specialist in the Department of Film here at the Museum of Modern Art. Today I'm joined by Ron Magliozzi, Curator in the Film Department here at MoMA, and today we're going to talk a little bit about art and artists, home movies, houses in the garden. We're going to explore some more treasures from the Film Study Center and the Film Archive here at MoMA. Thanks for joining me, Ron. How are you?
I'm very good. It's good to see you.
You too.
Virtually.
Virtually down the hallway.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
This week we'll be looking at Chapman Films, home movies from the 30s and 40s, and a Japanese house documenting an installation of a Japanese house in the MoMA Sculpture Garden. So let's talk a little about Chapman Films.
Yeah, Chapman Films have always been, for many years, very popular because it's such a remarkable documentation. I mean, virtually every modern artist of the 20th century is in the Chapman home movies.
Picasso, Matisse, Calder, Duchamp, everybody is in this.
Yes, and performance artists, writers, not just painters.
Composers.
Yes, composers.
Stein.
Everyone, right. Yes, I mean, they were made by a socialite who had access to really the high life of Paris and Europe in the 20s and 30s. And was obviously made a hobby of taking her camera with her wherever she went and filming these important personalities.
This film spans 1934 to 1943 and cover Paris, London, Mexico City, New York. So a really incredible document of these people and this time period.
I think my favorite is the Gertrude Stein and Alice B. Toklas in their garden and in the gardens with their dogs.
I also love the Diego Rivera section.
Yeah, that's great.
It's so vibrant and full of life. Just standing. It's really wonderful, a little bit magical almost, seeing these luminaries of creative thought and expression, hamming it up with the camera or, smoking a cigarette and lounging, playing with their dogs. It really humanizes these geniuses.
They behave like everyone in front of a camera in a home movie behaved. There's a little bit of self-consciousness, there's a little bit of performance. Some of them are, even the painters perform for the camera. Dali certainly does. So they're very much what you find in a home movie. I mean, home movies are about people shooting home movies, shot what they loved, and Mrs. Chapman obviously was a lover of the arts and of artists. And so her film is about arts and artists.
She is almost more interesting than the figures she filmed.
Is there any disappointment in the Chapman films is that she's not in them enough?
But you can actually see Mrs. Chapman a few times, like here with Picasso and again with Matisse.
The artists being filmed were aware that, unlike today, that these films were not going to end up on social media. They weren't going to be circulated. They weren't going to be shown in cinemas. Home movies are not theatrical form of filmmaking. They weren't intended for theatrical screening. And it's likely that the artists never saw the finished product. It's also just as likely that Mrs. Chapman had parties, social events in which the films were shown. It's very likely this happened. It might have been part of the allure of being in one of the films is knowing that this artist or that artist had made an appearance and been seen at such and such a party in Paris. And that the other artists in the community wanted to be part of the scene.
Yes, you do see some MoMA in this film as well.
And later in the film too, so it's almost like Mrs. Chapman brings the films home from Europe to America and to New York, into the museum. The later films were shot in the museum garden.
That's a great segue to talk about A Japanese House, which is a film that was made in MoMA's Sculpture Garden. The film was produced by the museum's Department of Architecture and Design in 1955. The house was designed by modernist architect Junzo Yoshimura, inspired by 17th century Japanese style, and was part of the museum's program celebrating the relationship between traditional Japanese design and modern Western architecture. Architects of the time were really interested in Japanese principles of design. It's a traditional documentary in some ways. It is documenting a specific event, the installation of this 17th century Japanese house in the Sculpture Garden in 1954 and 1955, but it's also a beautiful piece of filmmaking in and of itself. It has these quiet contemplative moments, some really well-composed shots. It's a piece of art in and of itself, in addition to documenting this incredible event that happened at MoMA.
Japanese House is a film made with an intended audience compared to the Chapman films, which have titles. This has serious post-production. It's got a beautiful score. It has narration. The Chapman films would have been narrated by Mrs. Chapman in person when she screened the films, the way home movies were narrated by the people who shot them for the family. And the family would have been, in that case, her socialite friends and other artists. The Japanese garden film was intended for a large audience.
So a Japanese house would have been screened on television. Victor D'Amico was in charge of our education department during this time period, who was very involved with getting educational content out into the world, primarily through television and through museum events, and this would have been part of one of his educational initiatives as well. Ron, tell me a little bit about your history with the Film Study Center.
I joined the museum at the Film Study Center in 1979. Charles Silverwood, then the Study Center supervisor. I loved special collections, the documentation materials, and I began to think, this is material, this stuff should be on exhibition. It shouldn't just be in the Study Center. We need to put this in the gallery, right, outside the theater, and the rest is history. My history.
Our history.
Our history, sorry.
Thank you for joining us, Ron. I hope you enjoy this week's films. You can find them on MoMA Magazine and the museum's YouTube channel. And thank you so much for tuning in throughout the month. I hope you've gotten something out of Film Vault Summer Camp and these treasures from the collection. We've just barely scratched the surface, so if you enjoyed this, let us know. Maybe we can do another summer camp in the future. See you at the movies. Do you know whose cat that is?
No, is that part of the cataloging records? Who's the cat? I don't.
Ron and I are both cat people, so.
Dogs, both.